Hi, for my birthday last week, I got what I wanted for a long time, this Victrola 8-in-1 console. I got it because it allows me to play vinyl records. And for years, 20 years maybe, I haven't had that ability. I had a record player and a turntable and an Iowa stack system, and gradually things broke. I got rid of pieces, I moved, and I just wound up not having a record player. And so what happened was I even gave away the turntable not that long ago. I'd been a great record collector. I had hundreds of them, but when I got rid of the turntable, all the records were just sitting there in the basement. So I wound up selling some of them, giving others away. I was just trying to downsize. But I still had hundreds left, and I got kind of nostalgic for it. I liked listening to records. I have CDs, as you can tell here, but I never quite got into listening to CDs that much. And I wound up not even really having a good thing to play the CDs on. So my memory kind of went back to the days of vinyl. And lo and behold, I did some research and I found out you can get a really good or adequate record player online. They're the Crosley systems, like the portable ones, but I opted for this baby, which is plays CDs, audio cassettes, Bluetooth, and of course vinyl. So one of the reasons I wanted to get this, and this is probably not going to make much sense unless you're 50 years old or older, which I am, is that besides loving the music I got in vinyl over the years, from ZZ Top and Creedence Clearwater in the 70s to blues and jazz in the 80s, and then on to Latin and Brazilian over the last 15 years, I really like kind of the visceral, sensual feel of vinyl. If you get your music online these days, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about, but I love the idea of buying a new record and kind of looking at the album art and then kind of carefully slitting the plastic wrap around it and looking at it and opening up and looking at the album art, and then all the merchandising that would often come with albums, where you'd got single albums, double albums, triple albums. You'd get posters and lyric sheets and tickets and analyses of what the music meant, man. And I don't know if you get that with Spotify or online music. Albums impressed me. They're always very carefully set up. You had the first side, you had the second side, you had the first song to set the mood, and then you had the last song, which was often some kind of a statement, like, what could be a bigger thrill than getting Chicago's first album, which starts with the horn blast of the song Introduction, which I've often said is the greatest first song on the greatest first album ever. Well, that's my opinion. So I got my Victrola and I was really eager to start using it. So first I started with CDs to get a feel for, well, how the thing worked. And so the first CD I played was one by a Brazilian artist named Gal Costa, who I've had the pleasure of listening to in concert at Carnegie Hall of all places. Then I decided to move on to the big show, which is playing vinyl. And I wanted to be careful with my first record because I wanted it to be something that, well, if the needle scratched it, that it wouldn't be a great loss. So I chose for the maiden voyage, appropriately, an album called Another Voyage by the Ramsey Lewis Trio from 1969, which is great jazz. Then after that, I moved on to really what's the superstar of my record collection, which is the soundtrack to the movie Chinatown. I heard this in the movie when it came out in '74, and I just loved it. And it was a rarity back in those days where you really had to hunt for records. And I looked for years to get a copy, and I finally found it in the Virgin Megastore in London in 1984, and I snapped it up in a minute and brought it back to the U.S. And it starts off with the incredible love theme from Chinatown by composer Jerry Goldsmith, and it goes into classics like I Can't Get Started and The Way You Look Tonight. It's all just achingly romantic, and I love every note of it. Then I went on to pick out other albums I wanted to listen to, which are all big album sets. They're great. So you've got the box set for Ben-Hur from 1959, music by Miklos Rozsa, which is like all of this just for one album, and it's got a book inside, and so that's great. And then, if you want some real excess, you got this 5-album set of Ella Fitzgerald does the songs of the Gershwin brothers, which 5 albums plus a book, plus these groovy 50s art prints which suggest a broken romance. So it's all very exuberant. It's kind of the musical equivalent of a 4-door Cadillac with tail fins. Maybe not that practical, but just kind of glorious merchandising and marketing. So I'm at the point now where I've been downsizing lately, but I'm a little embarrassed to say that now I'm really excited about going to Goodwill stores and used record stores, if they still exist, and library sales, and looking for vinyl, as if I didn't have enough. Well, I kind of do have enough of like the rock and blues and jazz and klezmer and Cajun and Zydeco. My interest now would probably be very narrowly focused on Latin music, Latin jazz, and Brazilian music. So that's kind of where I stand. I still like to listen to things on YouTube and just to hear things that I can't find in record format. But I'm really looking forward to kind of enjoying the new monkey on my back, which is vinyl records. And if you're looking for a cheap thrill, with so many millions of records being dumped on the markets over the past 30 years, I'm sure I can find enough to satisfy my craving for records. I'm not going to have to listen to ads on music. I'm not going to have to listen to the dropped digital signals. And like the DJs used to say on their cool shows, more platter, less chatter. That's it. I'm going to listen to some music. Thank you.